106.7 Lights FM.
Hanson is still here, Bob and Christine. So Isaac Taylor and Zach, we just heard two incredible Christmas songs from you guys, and this is off of your new Christmas album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Called Finally It's Christmas. Yep.
Yeah. No, so we today it's not nighttime. That's just
Only feels that way.
yeah. We decided to play two of the original songs. Obviously, the album is made up mostly of covers of classic songs. There's a little Stevie Wonder on there. There's a little bit of Paul McCartney on there. All I Want for Christmas Is You. Made famous by Mariah Carey. But sort of, all obviously our versions of it. I think we felt like it was important to not become a different band just because we were in this Christmas genre. I think sometimes that happens to people. They kind of, it's like, oh, you're a pop artist or a rock artist, and then you make a Christmas album. For some reason, you sound like Perry Como or something like that. And so,
hey, I want to make a Perry Como Christmas record.
I love Perry Como, but we really wanted to make sure the band didn't get lost in the sound. And so I think you hear that in the originals, and the ones that are covers, really, they keep that same spirit of really making sure you hear the drums and the saxophone and the pianos and the guitars, because our sound is really guys growing up, playing in the garage, being a garage band in Oklahoma, and there's a lot of harmonies, tons of harmonies and vocal parts throughout the record, but hopefully it's the kind of one you want to put on when you need a little bit of pep in your step.
Why a Christmas album? Because you guys, I know, could have done a lot different stuff, but it seems like a lot of artists are drawn towards making their Christmas album.
Well, Christmas albums are, they're not for every year. It's been 20 years. We made one 20 years ago. And if it's the right time, it's an album that people come back to. And so it's something you take very seriously because you hope that people return and it becomes a part of their own tradition because, we all know that so much of Christmas is about nostalgia, about reflection, about, hey, getting together with people, remembering things. And so you hope you created something that is sort of timeless. And I think that's one of the fun things about making it is you get like a free pass on the idea of creating something that's meant not just for today. It's meant for 20 years from now. It's meant for the future. And so you get to go into a time warp a little bit. And so, it's interesting when you sit down, you go like, what makes a Christmas record? And a lot of it is the subject matter, right? Of course, you're talking about seasonal things, but there's these subtle choices, just the fact that now here in 2017, feeling like, eras that we've passed, the 70s, the 60s, like you do a couple things like, that you feel familiar, and that takes you there. That takes you to that feeling that we all kind of are reminiscing about. And
amongst other things, we wouldn't have been able to do, All I Want for Christmas Is You on our previous Christmas record because it really wasn't a classic yet. It was a recently released song from Mariah Carey a handful of years before we made our first Christmas record. So things change over time.
Well, I would say the other thing about doing a Christmas record now, this whole year we've been traveling the world, touring and celebrating being a band for 25 years. And so it feels like because these kind of records really are something that live on, it starts another chapter for us. I think that was part of doing it now is because, we're saying to our fans, this is a time where we've been celebrating our own nostalgia, sort of looking back at our memories. But here's something that we can share together for the next decade, for the next couple decades, that will become, part of the next phase in our band as we kind of go into this next quarter century.
So you're talking about being together for 25 years, and I interviewed you over at Z100 probably 20 years ago when we really all were 11.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that. No, Bob was in baby heaven. He wasn't even here yet. Can you even recall a time when you weren't famous? I feel like you've always been with us.
Right. Well, it is, especially for Zach, who's, he was 11 when we first broke out. We have spent a lot of our time, we don't think of it as time being famous, but time doing making music, and getting to do what we love. And it is, it's the majority of our life. I'm 34 and we've been playing for 25 years. The greatest gift is to be able to do something you love. And like Zach was talking about this year, we consciously were talking about 25 years, not 20. 20 years is since most people met the band, but really, 25 is when we first started singing, and that's really kind of what we're
importantly doing gigs, doing proper gigs.
When we were marking the line in the sand, it's like actually we're sharing our journey and getting to do something that we love. And this year, getting to, I mean, we've consistently toured, consistently put out records, never stopped, but this has been an especially great year to be able to connect in one stretch with fans, from Australia to Latin America to Europe, all over the U.S. and Canada, and that's all before this Christmas tour. And so we feel like, we've shared a lot of our life with people. I mean, we meet folks like this morning that have
Jamie.
that have a story, right. That have a story that's related to, hey, I heard this song, or I remember this show. And so you just kind of,
are you guys like your dads, your husbands, right?
Yeah.
We are dads and husbands, yes.
Yes, not to each other.
No.
Yeah.
I don't even know how that would work.
That is frowned upon in most states.
Yeah, Oklahoma included.
Marrying your brother, yeah.
We all do have kids, and we're all married.
That's,
You all have kids now.
Yeah, all of a sudden, it's another reason why I think it was cool to make this Christmas record now, because when we made our first Christmas album, we had a brother who was like 4. And so he features in a little spot at the very end of the record, and he does this little talking part. It's sort of right before White Christmas comes on, and we're singing a cappella. And so when we made this record, finding a little spot where our kids came into the actual
just
making of the
cameo.
album was pretty cool. And so they
How
sing.
many kids between you?
There are
12.
12
Look
between
at
us.
Oklahoma. What's
Yeah.
in the water?
Yeah. So this is
When a
Zach.
man and a woman come together,
I have
they love each other a
4.
lot.
Yeah, I have
Go
4.
on.
Taylor has 5, and Isaac has
5?
3. Yeah.
3? So
Yeah.
Isaac has how many?
3.
So
I
he's
have
got
4.
Oh, 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot of Christmas presents.
Yeah.
Just
No,
saying.
that's-
Now I know why you're traveling.
A couple
Okay.
years ago, my parents were like, "Guys, we're getting together, we're going to cabin, and we're buying a bunch of food. Sorry, presents are out." We're like, "Very wise."
Are you guys? Do you guys live close to each other still? in
relatively,
Oklahoma?
yeah. We do.
Everybody's all in Oklahoma. We've always felt like we wanted to be a band with an identity, and I think being from Oklahoma and going back there has just been part of, I think, our culture as artists, and being associated with the people who've come out of there, from Bob Wills and Leon Russell and Woody Guthrie and the Gap Band. Yeah,
A wide range of music.
There's
for sure.
some really great music, and I think guys who have been left of center or sort of kind of trailblazers in their own way, and we like the idea that maybe we could be a part of that kind of story.
We've also been an independent band for years, and started our own record company. When we were talking about being in this neighborhood, we almost 15 years ago, we set up shop and offices here in New York, and over that time, always kept an office, always kept a home base in Oklahoma. And I think the perspective of having lived in LA, lived in New York, worked all over the world, it gives you perspective on how important it is to have those roots, to keep those roots. And we started a beer company in Oklahoma. We started a festival in
What's
Oklahoma.
the name of the beer company?
It's Hanson Brothers
Hanson
Beer.
Brothers Beer
Yeah.
Company. We're real creative.
And we have a beer called Hops. Yes.
In case we missed that, hops. Okay.
Yeah, and
the pale ale is called hops.
but it's
so cute.
so much of it. It's about just creating things that are authentic and sharing that with people, and then with your fans, you're just inviting them into something that's not just a song. It's your story, and the music is the soundtrack.
And like you said, the songs have affected so many people and touched them.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So there's never a point where you'll do a show and go, I can't do that song again. You're still good with sharing.
We're proud of our songs. I mean, we're proud of Mbop. We're proud of Where's the Love, Penny and Me. I mean, everything that's happened. I think that times where as an artist, you're like, okay, we don't want to do that. Is more when people put a message on your songs that's really not true to it, But as far as the actual pride in performing your music and also performing for your fans, I mean, most of the time, people forget, most of the time when we're out there playing, we're looking out at a group of people that know the album tracks, that know the singles and the deep cuts. And so it's pretty incredible to have anything that people from, Sydney, Australia to New York are singing along to. And sometimes it's Mbop, sometimes it's, the new
Something
single I
else.
Was Born. But it's the chance to stand on stage and share music is just amazing.
Yeah, the other thing I'd say is we come at this being fans of music, right? And so when I go see Billy Joel or Paul McCartney, I don't care that they've been doing it for 40 years, and that they, Paul McCartney doesn't want to play Drive My Car anymore. I love Drive My Car. And I want to
Drive My
hear
Car, right.
Drive My Car, not because it's a hit single, not because somebody said it's their most famous song or this or that. It's because I have life associated with that song, and I drive my car and turn that on, and I want to hear it as a fan. And so it's really important, I think, as an artist to come back to that, being a fan of music and recognizing that these songs regardless of whatever the sales charts say or pop culture, they become associated with people's lives in these amazing positive ways, and you want to continue to share that.
Who are you guys listening to these days? Because you are fans of music.
Yeah, we are.
I mean, I really like the song "Pray" by Sam Smith. That's a new song off his latest record. I really like there's a song called "Attention" by Charlie Puth. I really like that song. My boys in particular like the bass line. Hey. It's cool. Yeah. I mean, there's a pretty unknown artist that's absolutely fantastic. His name is Raylan Baxter. He's really, really good. A kind of singer-songwriter guy, but he comes at it. It's for some reason he always reminds me a little bit of James Taylor, and I don't know exactly how to describe why, but I think it's mostly the way he writes songs.
It's tailored blue jeans.
Yeah. But I mean, gosh,
taste.
There's a lot of cool stuff out there. I mean, Ed Sheeran. I mean, come on.
As far as artists that are just crushing the world, I think Ed Sheeran is amazing to see out there, carrying a stadium with one guitar and a voice. I mean there's a lot of not so great stuff that's at the top of the charts, in any era.
Go ahead.
No, but at the top of the charts,
I tell you what, I hate.
No, but I would say that considering like that, the very top stuff and that's hitting the world right now, I think as an artist that is probably the biggest biggest artist in the world. Yeah. It's awesome to see him carrying that weight with a guitar, and I think for young musicians, young fans, I'm just glad that there's a guy holding a guitar, even though he's doing it his own way. I think that's a really cool thing for people to see, that organic, his voice, his guitar, and we know Ed, have known him for a while, and just an awesome guy. So we're admirers of the craft, and that range that covers all kinds of styles and all generations. I mean, you're always a fan of somebody that has mastered it.
I hate to make that commentary longer, but by the way, the U2 show,
unbelievable.
The Joshua Tree tour that we just saw, and they're about to go out on the road next year too. I mean, golly, you have moments in your life. You have moments in your life where you're like, oh, I'm measuring myself against this thing or that thing, and this is my goal. And then every now and then you walk into the room and realize, no, the bar was just not set high enough. And those guys, when you watch them play, you're like, oh, right,
that's where
the bar is way up here. Yeah, and we got to get way up there.
That's how we feel about Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah.
Kidding, Ryan. All right, guys, we're getting the 1 minute signal, so we'll
let you go. So finally, it's Christmas. Hello, that is the album, and thank you so much for being here. And
thank you.
I know you're doing some tour dates, so we'll go to Hanson.net, right, to get all the info.
Yeah. Hanson.net has all the info about tour dates and albums and all that stuff, and so it's a good place to check.
Yeah. You've been great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Hanson.
106.7 Lights FM.